I'm going to show you how this brand has generated $70 million in revenue with a direct response advertorial offer page, custom checkout structure with a quantity break offer that I'm going to break down for you in today's video. I'm going to be sharing all of this with you, and stick around to the end because I'm going to be sharing with you how you can apply this to your own brand and use that to acquire more new customers more efficiently and scale much further than you currently are, and unlock that next level of scale, get to 8 figures in revenue. Now, before we dive into the source of the video, just a quick refresh on the Shopify dashboard to show you that I'm qualified to speak on the topic of growing and scaling e-commerce brands. One of our clients last couple of years, $16.8 million in revenue. What we do is we help e-commerce brands scale to all of the things that I'm going to be showing you in today's video, so you can trust the information I'm going to be sharing with you. So this brand is Noobru. They sell a nootropic focused drink. They also sell other products as well, but this is really their main best selling product, and that's the one we're going to focus on today. And these ads that they're running for 3 years, but even newer ads that they're running have been running to this Advertorial. Now, an Advertorial is an editorial style landing page that you can use to educate customers and bring them through a journey, bring them through the stages of market awareness, which is really important to consider when thinking about landing pages. Because as you're scaling your brand, you're going to tap out these most aware and product aware stages of the market, right? Every market has people in each of these different stages. But what happens is that these audiences that are easy to convert are also the smallest in size. And what you have to do is you have to go further away to less aware audiences and then try and pull them towards a product aware and then most aware stage so that they're ready to buy your product, right? And that is a lot easier said than done. So how do we do this? All right, we have ads that of course are educating customers on, the problem, the solution, the product, why you should buy it, use cases, benefits, all that stuff. But you could also use landing pages, and this is exactly what this does. So this one right here is how Peter used a strange new smart power to feel like he got his brain back. And this is an example of targeting a furthermore audience that is already aware that they may be struggling with memory, and the headline addresses that, okay? Now notice how it's about Peter and not about, right? If we talk about you and we preach to someone, it's much less effective because people don't like to be told what to do. They like to look at other people's stories and resonate with those stories and see themselves in those stories. And it doesn't feel like it's a direct threat on them either. So this is very, very smart. Some other quick things here. This is like a third-party branded article. Even though the domain itself is for the brand, it is a subdomain, go.noobru.com, but they're using mind and body as a way to kind of brand this as a third party. Now, with the way I want you to think about advertorials is think about someone like NBC or Women's Health or someone do an article for you, right, as an affiliate, and then links to go and shop, right? And when you actually go and shop, that's actually when you go to the brands page, okay? And we're going to be going through that as to what the next steps are when someone clicks check availability and beyond. So when it comes to advertorials, when should you actually use them? You should use them when you're going after the problem aware, even the unaware stage of audiences, but you want to focus on these problem aware, solution aware audiences because unaware is the hardest to convert because they're not even aware that they have a problem. So they really need to start from step zero. But problem aware, they already have some traction there with understanding that they have a problem. And your job is to focus on introducing them to a solution to that problem and convincing them that that solution specifically and your product is the one for that, okay? So the sub-headline here is, I know this sounds unbelievable, at 67, this has made my brain and memory like it did when I was 25. By the way, if you're a new viewer here, my name is Jordan Hayes. I actually run a marketing agency where we help e-commerce brands scale their revenue profitably. Now, if you're running an e-commerce brand, you're doing over 100K per month in revenue and you're facing challenges with scale, maybe your ads or your funnel is not working as well as it used to or should be, or even if it's just a lack of time and resource to put into scaling this part of the business, then that's exactly what we help with. So down below this video, there'll be a link to book a call with me. We'll have a conversation about your business, learn more about the challenges, your objectives, and see if there's a fit for us to work together. Worst case scenario, I can provide some insights as we're seeing with our other clients to help you in your current stage of your business. And as I mentioned, this is for brands who are doing at least 100K per month in revenue and they need help with scaling and obviously want to scale profitably. And in the way in which we help brands scale is we provide services across both customer acquisition and customer retention, done for you services which are completely hands-off. We take care of everything for you. And that includes media buying, CRO, landing pages, ad creative, email marketing, SMS marketing, overall growth strategy, lifetime value optimization, all that stuff, okay? So with that said, let's get back to the video. So that just gives like a visual for the customer's mind, and it also future paces the customer to where they want to be, right? They want to have better memory, they want to feel like they were when they were younger, okay? Everyone does, okay? So that's just a great lead into this. Advertorials then always have like an image. This is like a image of Peter, of course, just keeping it congruent. There's always like an author of this as well, just to keep it like third party. If you are selling health related products, it is also a good idea to have some sort of doctor or some sort of nutritionist, some sort of authority figure within your space who has written the article, because again, it just adds immediate authority. Now, I'm actually going to break down some of the elements of this advertorial because it's actually quite a long piece. And if we were to go through every single detail, we'd be here for a while. But before I do, I want to show you how this step of the process works. So we have the advertorial here, which, of course, educates them on the problem, introduces a solution, introduces the product, backs it up with social proof, backs it up with trust, authority, has a risk reversal with a money back guarantee, has what it's like week 1 through week 4 and the conclusion, and of course has some urgency and some scarcity here as well, followed up with even more social proof and then more CTAs. If we click this button, we're taken to this offer page. Now, as I mentioned, the offer page is more of the one that is branded, right? This is a way for people to land here. Let's just say you had something on NBC. It would be a landing page hosted by your brand on your domain, and it will be branded towards your brand to feel like it's it's part of your brand as well, right? They've left mind and body, right? In this case, they've left this like third party and they've come to your website, okay? Now, what we want to do here is just want to repeat the same things that we've been speaking about on the tutorial, but in an inverted PDP format, okay? This is like a classic offer page where we're taking customers through the key features, benefits, and then we're obviously talking about what they can expect before and afters, the science behind it, the ingredients, etc., etc. We have social proof with stories, a little more long form story here than just like short reviews. And then we're going again more to the ingredients, the science, just backing it up, superior absorption, what people are saying, decommoditizing the product from other options on the market, and then your charitable initiative down here as well. But all these buttons are linking to a custom checkout. Now, you don't have to use custom checkout, right? You have your own Shopify. Shopify checkout is fine. What the custom checkout allows you to do is it allows you to have a lot more control and functionality over, the offer structure, having basically everything in one page, right? You could choose your offer, and then you could obviously check out on the same page. You can add a lot of different elements to this around social proof, around risk reversal, all these different things that increase trust and authority. And what that does is it increases conversion rate. If you are on Shopify and you don't want to try this yet, I'd only recommend having a custom checkout once you have an offer structure and any flow of funnel that works really well. Then what you do is when you introduce custom checkout, you can just apply that on a much grander scale. Test this over the video with, you can actually take this offer structure that we're going to go through and apply that on the offer page itself. So when someone clicks one of these buttons, it scrolls to that section of the offer on this page itself, and then you can go from there to checkout and just make sure that that specific bundle that is on this page would be applied to the checkout, right? So this is a quantity break offer, one of my favorite offer structures. And what this is basically the more you buy, the more you save. So what we're doing here is we're saying you could buy a 180-day supply, 30-day supply, 90-day supply, or 360-day supply. Now, the reason why you adopt an offer structure like this is because you want to increase average order value. That is really the main goal here, right? If someone just buys a 30-day supply for $47.95, doesn't really give us a good AOV. But if someone buys 180 days, $179, that is a complete game changer. And if we increase average order value and we have a strong conversion rate, both those metrics are working together in unison. What it means is that we have more room to spend to acquire new customers, and likely more room than our competitors do. And the brands that are going to be out in the longest are the ones that can spend the most to acquire a customer. And of course, LTV and retention is important. But just talking about acquiring new customers here, this is a perfect way to structure an offer. Now, this is the most common for consumable-based products, supplements, food and beverage, skincare, hair care, whatever it is, things that run out and need to be replaced. But you can get creative with it, with products that you might think don't need to be replaced, right? Maybe you can add a replaceable element to the products you already have, or maybe you can just bundle products together and say, if you want to buy, a 6-pack of t-shirts or a 3-pack of t-shirts or a 1-pack of t-shirts, right? That's just an example as to how you would, have a quantity break offer for t-shirts, which isn't something that runs out, but technically does need to be replaced, or the customer would like to have more of than just one unit. Now, if you're selling something like a baby stroller, then obviously that's a different story. But what you could do is you can get creative with that, and you could say you could buy the baby stroller alone, you could buy one baby stroller with X accessory, you could buy a baby stroller with accessory A, accessory B, and a free gift, right? You could just have different stages of that and just scale up as a way to get customers to spend more. Now, notice here how this 180-day supply is pre-selected and is a recommended deal. And this is a classic direct response strategy where we're pre-selecting the option that we want customers to choose. Now, the idea is that you don't pre-select the most expensive option, right? You have something called a magnetic middle. And that just means that you are pre-selecting the option that is not the cheapest, not the most expensive, but it lies somewhere in the middle, and it is a reasonable offer for the customer to consider. Now, in terms of the number of units and offers you can have here, 3 to 4 is a sweet spot. I'd recommend starting with 3 and then adding 4 if you see that it works well. Again, everything has to be tested. But some things to remember in terms of structuring this offer is show the visual of how many units I'm getting. Show the strike-through price with a price anchor, very, very important. And I would actually show the price per unit, right? So if this is a 30-day supply, show me how much it is per day, right? Break that down into a per day price because that has psychological pricing. Or you could even break this down into like the price of each of these packets, right? Now we're selling 6, you divide 6 into this and you get like a per packet price. And again, it's psychological pricing. We want to try and break it down into as low a pricing as we can show as possible. Psychologically, it seems like a better deal, okay? And it is a better deal. We're just showing it in a way that makes sure the customers understand that this is the best deal they can get. Now, jumping back to the advertorial, I wanted to go through some of the sections here in a little bit more detail. And I've actually outlined a advertorial framework that whether it's problem aware or solution aware audience, you apply like slightly different frameworks. And by the way, these are just like modular elements that make up a full advertorial framework, right? They can be changed, they can be switched around. You don't have to include all of them. There is no one size fits all, right? The important thing is that you understand the stage of market awareness that you're speaking to, because depending on that, you're going to take a very different approach to your advertorial. The headlines are going to be different, the subheadlines are going to be different, and even the way you lead into the advertorial is going to be different, okay? So you want to make sure that that is the case. You have the stage of market awareness dialed in, and you also want to make sure that you have a specific angle that you're going after, right? This one is very focused around memory. Now this product, a new topic, obviously there's a ton of benefits, right? Memory is one, clarity is another, focus is another, and you can go a lot of different directions with this. But the important thing is that this brand is focusing on, getting their brain back at more the memory side, rather than trying to like get across a ton of different benefits at once. Now, if you know anything about writing, you know that the key is just every sentence is designed to get someone to read the next sentence, okay? So as we get into it here, it says most seniors don't know this, but as we age, our brains actually shrink. So curiosity loop open. Okay, well, that's what we're doing here. We're also establishing authority by saying most seniors don't know this, like we know something that you don't. And we're opening up the ability to educate the audience, which is really what we want to do here. Before we introduce any product, we want to educate, so that customers are on the same page. And then once we're there, we can transition them into a solution and then a product. So it says they begin to lose sales, which makes it harder to build connections in everyday life. You may have experienced one of these senior moments. I can't find my keys. What was her name again, right? We're meeting the customer where they're at, right? Now, if the customer doesn't experience any of these senior moments, then they're not going to resonate with this. And that is fine, because we are drawing our line in the sand. You want to go deep into the type of customer that the type of avatar that you're trying to convert into a customer. So I can't find my keys. What was her name again? It can be extremely embarrassing and difficult for us to deal with. Emotional pain point. Really, really important. Humans buy with emotion and they justify that purchase with logic. If you don't tap into the emotional pain points, the emotional benefits, the desires that we have as humans, it's going to be very, very difficult to be able to create something that wins, to create a landing page or an advertorial that wins at scale, right? If we just jump to the 8 core desires that we have as humans, these are hardwired into our brains. Now, you want to be touching on as many of these as possible within the realm that makes sense, within your product and brand, of course. But what this brand is touching on in terms of like the embarrassment is the social approval and the status. We want to look good in the eyes of others. We don't want to be embarrassed in front of others. We don't want to have to deal with that, right? It says, thankfully, there's a new way to slam the brakes on brain shrinkage, right? Now we're introducing the solution. This brand new smart powder can effectively reverse the effects of brain aging. Smart powder, again, reinforces the curiosity, right? We're not yet introducing the product. We're calling it the smart powder. Like, what is this? I want to learn more about this. It keeps the reader engaged. It keeps them reading. I've been feeling like my brain's been slowing down for a few years now, and it's caused me a few embarrassing senior moments. Again, repeating the senior moments, repeating the emotional pain point. It started with forgetting my keys, but the last straw for me was when I forgot my grandson's birthday. I felt awful. At that point, I knew I needed to try something to improve my memory and energy levels. So if the customer has experienced anything like this, they're going to really resonate with this, right? So the important thing is we're using story to educate, right? Rather than just saying like, you need to know this, this, and this, and very like, clinical and scientific. We're using story, we're using emotion. I'm using specific examples and making it vivid in the customer's mind so that they either sign with this and resonate with it, or they want to avoid this in the future and use this as a proactive moment. I even tried stronger prescription stuff, but it was no good for me. That's when I came across the odd smart powder called Noobru Advantage, right? This is where we're introducing the product. And now some cases, I would rather introduce the product a little bit later, right? I'd rather come after we dive deeper into the problem, the root cause of the problem, agitate the problem, introduce the solution, go talk about the science, and then introduce the product, because usually that's like a better time to introduce the product once we've already got that buy-in. But this brand is obviously seeing this work very well for them, right? So again, it just shows you that there's no one size fits all, and you can, go into these elements and swap these around, right? If you want me to send you this link to the Figma doc so you can actually go through this framework in a little bit more detail, just let me know. I'm happy to do that. And also down below this video, there's a link to a D2C growth vault where you'll be able to see multiple examples of advertorials just like this one, and be able to just see more references for how you can model this to your own brand. Okay, so we introduce the product, and then we say it contains ingredients used in ancient Chinese medicine that has a ton of 5-star reviews. So I like some social proof here. Again, curiosity loop with ancient Chinese medicine. Like, we're trying to create a unique mechanism here, because what's going to happen with most people that read this article and interested in your product is they're going to go to Amazon, they're going to research online, they're going to try and find different alternatives. And what we want to do is we want to decommoditize our product, our solution to the other ones out there by creating unique mechanisms, right? And then explain what those are. I hate taking tablets, and because this Noobru Advantage is dissolved in water, decided to give it a try. I'm so glad I did. My memory feels as clear as when I was 25, and energy levels feel better than ever, right? So the result, we're talking about future pacing, the desired outcome. My daughter was laughing at me when I first told her that I was seeing my improvement. She's asking me if she could try it for herself, right? So I've seen this a lot in advertorials, is like, people around me doubted me, because what happens is when someone buys something and other people know that they've bought it, right? Close family members, partners, whatever it is, they don't want to feel stupid. So by saying this, what we're doing is like, yes, my daughter was laughing at me when I first told her about this, right? Because customers are thinking that, like, what are people going to think if I tell them that I'm taking this kind of magic powder? Are they going to think I'm stupid? Are they going to think I'm insane? Like, what are they going to think, right? And again, it goes back to the life force 8 core desires of Sage's social approval. Like, we want the social approval of others, so we don't want to be stupid, right? And so we don't want to make stupid decisions, right? It's basically what it is. And this is kind of like dispelling that objection just a little bit, okay? Then it goes a little bit more into the natural formula, a little more into the mechanism, how it's different to a lot of the energy pills and smart drugs out there, how it's safe to use. After that, we're going into social proof with these reviews and adding some trust about the founder being on this press interview on TV. And then it's been approved and recommended by doctors. You always want to have some authority if possible, right? Authority doesn't have to mean doctors. It can mean nutritionists. It can mean jewelers, nurses. It can mean scientists, right? Whatever it is, whoever is seen as an authority in the space of the product that you're selling, then you want to include that, okay? You want to include endorsements from them. And this is a video of actually a doctor speaking about the product and the benefits of that, okay? You see some more trust icons here, and then a risk reversal. You always want to have a risk reversal. You always want to have the money back guarantee, the warranty, whatever you're offering. I have that as a clear section on the page. We already went through how they tested it week 1, week 2, week 3. Again, this is not mandatory to have this. It's like a nice to have. And again, it just kind of goes back into how this is like a third-party testing and actually telling you and walking you through their experience, which is interesting for some people to read, okay? We talk about the founder, and then this is an update. I finished posting the story. Noobru has been flooded with orders and struggled to keep up with demand. We did find one website who still supplied the product, which you can access here. I'd encourage you to order as much as you can to avoid them running out of stock. So they're really positioning this as a third party. Like, we found one website that's selling it, and yeah, it's their own website, right? So that's really what this is. More reviews. As I mentioned, when we click this, it goes to the offer page. The offer page is an inverted PDP. As I spoke about, it just repeats a lot of the same elements. We already went through this briefly. I'm not going to go into this again. But yeah, I wanted to break down the advertorial for you in a little bit more detail to show you how you can structure this yourself. And the thing with advertorials, it's all about testing, right? It's the same as producing ad creatives and testing ad creatives. The headline and the subheadline and this initial image, the above the fold section is the most important part. So you want to test different ones, you want to test different hooks, different angles, and you want to find what works best for you, right? I've seen brands test 40, 50 different variations of advertorials before they find the one that works, okay? So if you are going to do advertorials, just know that you're going to have to test a lot. Know that you're going to have to be very, very good at writing to hold engagement, have a very strong case for your product to be able to decommoditize it and to have unique mechanisms. Otherwise, I would not recommend you do advertorials. I'd recommend you do something like a listicle, like a quiz funnel, like an inverted PDP. But if you are willing to give advertorials a shot, then it can definitely work and definitely crush for you. A lot of 8-figure, 9-figure brands are running advertorials, and for good reason, right? Because they do work once you're able to crack them, okay? That's it for this video. If you are struggling to scale your e-commerce brand and you would rather have a partner who knows exactly what to do to scale brands to 8 figures, just come in and do all this for you, then there's a link below this video to book a call with me. We'll talk about your business, talk about current situation and what your challenges are, and see if there's a fit for us to actually come in and help you get there. If there's not, we'll tell you up front, we only work with a handful of clients. We turn more business away than we take on. And we do that because we know exactly the type of brands that we can knock it out of the park for. And we only want to bring on brands that we see ourselves working with for years, okay? That's over last week. If that's something that you align with, then link below the video. And I look forward to chatting with you soon. But that is it for this video, and I'll see you in the next one.